Okay, make sure y'all stay up and y'all watch 24/7 HH. It's going down. This your boy Pimpin Ken. We gonna give y'all some of this cyber gang. Believe that, man. Big things popping, little things dropping. Hey, man, what can I say, man? You don't believe what I say? Check the resume, Jay.
Yeah, y'all talking about your pimping around here, man. Hey, man, pimping is art, man. You know what I'm talking about?
You got to look at the mass incarceration rate. You look at how a lot of young African American men are being incarcerated on wholesale numbers. America is 5% of the world's population, but has 25% of the world's incarceration. In that figure, only 6% eligible black men are able to go to prison because you got to exclude women, children, old people with disabilities. So when you get that 6%, out of that 6%, if America is 5% of the world's population, 25% of the world's incarceration, and 50% of the people incarcerated are young black men, that means that black people being only 6% eligibility are 12.5% of the incarceration of the whole world, So we have for the prison system, so that's 12.5% if it's 25% incarceration. So that's the first problem. And then you think that these men that are incarcerated got children out here that are being raised by the women. So the question that I ask about the violence in our community, and particularly in the African American community, who's doing all the killing? Who's raising the killers? If the father's not at home, then the mothers are raising the killing. So what that means that the problem does not lie with the actual killing or the actual, setting of the home setting. It's the absence of the black man in the family. So once you put the black man back into the family, then the respect level will come back up. Because see, one thing that people don't understand, what makes the lion the king of the jungle is not his claws or his teeth, but it's his roar. When he roars, he scared the shit out of elephants and giraffes, everybody, rhinoceros, all of them, they get to running when they see a lion. So, what makes the father the king of the house is his Adam's apple. When you tell your child to sit down, as a man, you probably have children, when you tell your kids to sit down, they sit down, but the mother has to struggle with that, right? So now you got a situation where the mother's saying she's the father and she's the mother, which is mathematically impossible, and from a natural standpoint, naturally it don't add up. So, that's where all your killing coming from is the absence of the father. So once we incorporate the man back into the household and men start taking accountabilities, in particular in the African American community for their children, and they start raising their children properly, I think that we'll see a decline in the murder. One of the things that we got to acknowledge is that white supremacy is real. Systemic racism is real. It's a religion, what I mean? So it goes all the way back to Reconstruction, which was around 1865 to about, around, 12 years after that. So in that 12 years, you see black folks doing really well. You see black senators, you see black businessmen. And then, when the White Citizen Council came into play, they was like, hold on, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? It's too much black success. These are our former slaves. We have to do something, otherwise they would reverse, what we did to them, to us. So you start seeing what they call Jim Crowism, and white supremacy being implemented. So as white supremacy gets implemented, and you start seeing all the heroes in school being white. You got Superman is white, Aquaman is white. You know what I'm saying? Everything is white, 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 white. Then you look at even the Sistine Chapel. You see Jesus being white. So now what you see is real white supremacy being manifested in real time when black mothers say to their children, "Hey, Santa Claus is coming on Jesus' birthday, allegedly, on Christmas, and it's impossible for a Santa Claus to travel 196,940,000 square miles across the great Atlantic Ocean and give everybody a present with 12 dark hours in the night. You can't do that in 12 hours. But this is the perception that we're feeding our children. And through that perception, what happens is, you start seeing people having an inferiority complex. They stop valuing themselves. You read anything, it's always, Abraham Lincoln, it always George Washington, is always Andrew Jackson, is always a great white person. You see what I'm saying? So what that does is that creates a social engineering that creates a low self-esteem within the community. You see what I'm saying? And this is perpetuated. And so one thing about racism, it don't just affect black folks, it affects white folks unbeknownst to themselves, because you're privileged and don't even know you're privileged. You're granted all these privileges, and when you walk into the store, they don't follow you around. You walk proudly, and you could be the actual thief. But they don't follow you around. But if a black person walk in the store with a hoodie on, just in the case of Trayvon Martin, you see what happens. You see what I'm saying? So all this is a part of why we in this condition, because of white supremacy and because of racism, systemic racism. So now when you are taught as a white person and you grow up in school as a young white man, and you taught that black folks is a criminal through the news and all that, then you already got a preconceived notion. So you don't have a value on that particular person no more, that black person. So you say, lock them up, lock them all up. They drug dealers. They ain't nothing. But, we know it's a lot of professional black people that do real stuff. But the perception in society is that all black folks have this negative depiction, right? So that would make the laws, against black folks. And then you got a group of people who understand this social engineering. They understand white supremacy. They understand systemic racism. They say, okay, it's money. Like you said, it's money. Like you said, the $1 million box. There's money in there because where the money come from is through CCA, Correctional Corporation of America, which is on the New York Stock Exchange. So that allows these corporations to, create these laws and lobby with Congress and with the Senate. With these laws affect directly black communities. If you look at some of the laws, they affect the black community directly. And then these young men, who don't have jobs, because the jobs are being depleted in our communities, they automatically be the victims of these laws. And now you see a lot of young black men going to jail, and once you go to jail, the sentences is so strict now, 85% of your time, now you become a slave, because the 13th Amendment says slavery is abolished except for one duly commits a crime. So up under the 13th Amendment, we see real slavery being instituted in real time in the African American community. So a lot of these guys, all they like you said, they're a check. So it's a black man is worth more in prison than he is on the streets. So how do we deal with that? First of all, it's through education. We have to start practicing group economics. As a group, we have to practice group economics and group politics. See, all politicians for sale because they got what you call quick pro. They're prostitutes, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you can buy them. So once we get ourselves together politically, then we can buy the politicians and get them to change the laws that negatively reflects African Americans. That's one of the things that we have to do. And then second, we got to start practicing group economics. We got to let the money bounce in our community 8 to 9 times. Black people have $1 trillion GDP. That's the gross national product. Out that $1 trillion, we only spend 2% back in our community. That means that 98% of our money is going into other communities. So when we go down River Hills, or we go where I used to live at in Menominee Falls, you see these people, quote unquote white folks living well. You know what I'm saying? It's because you spending. They spend 100% of their money and 98% of your money, which gives them a financial advantage over you and your children. And that's why they say within the next 20 years, black folks will be in a permanent poverty underclass. We'll be a permanent underclass. So we have to practice group economics. We got to spend the money back within ourselves. If we don't spend the money back within ourselves, then we're going to be extinct. We're going to kill ourselves. We're killing ourselves. You cannot survive if you spend 98% of your money in that community. You're not going to have adequate fire departments. You're not going to have adequate police. You're not going to have adequate museums. None of that stuff that it takes to help a community flourish. So that's the first thing that we have to do. We have to change all of that. We got to, change our thinking. And that's what we're doing at the hip hop fraternity. We practice group economics. I encourage everybody, to support one another. I encourage everybody, we got a political action committee. We have our own voting action committee over at the hip hop fraternity ran by our national president, James Gray. He deals with politics. We deal with the White House. We deal We help get people elected because we know that this is the only way that we're going to be able to ameliorate our conditions. This change this quagmire that we in. We as black folks, we're in a serious situation. I mean, we actually, it's devastating, and you look at, the prison system, I heard that homosexuality in prison went up 30-40% because the dudes that's got all the guns ain't nothing but little slim, skinny dudes. You know what I'm saying? They big with a gun, but when they get in prison, you got to remember, whenever you fight, if Floyd Mayweather's not gonna never fight Mike Tyson because the weight just don't match. So when you go to prison, you're meeting Mike Tyson. You might be Floyd Mayweather on the streets. You might catching bodies like it ain't nothing. But when you get there, you're gonna be somebody's girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? And that's another bad thing. So now that's bad because the children who are the parent who they the parents of the children, now they got a father who then flipped over into homosexuality. You know what I'm saying? I mean, which is terrible, and some of them may never come home. They just accept that as their life. I'm somebody's girlfriend, so all that stuff, man, combined and all that stuff, it's going to have to start, like I said, primarily with education. It's going to have to start with group economics, group politics. We have to invest in our children. Those of us who are smart and intelligent and escape the system, we got to go into our communities and start being mentors. We got to raise other men, children to save our children because those children can kill our children. You see every day innocent children getting killed by people who don't have a father in the house, who grew up, gang banging and so on and so forth. So if it ain't no OGs to go out there and to educate them brothers and give them some clout and some information, then you won't be able to help the situation. But, it's a collage of things. It's not no one quick fix. It's a whole host of things that we have to do to fix our community. But we just got to understand, too, more than anything, we got to understand that, the guy that's fostering this whole situation is a wicked deceiver. He's a masterful planner, and all this stuff is not just happening, bro. This stuff is happening by design. You know what I'm saying? They really, really got a game plan. And, unfortunately, black men are the target, you know what I mean? And now you even see them going after the black women. You see a lot of amalgamation. You see a lot of interracial relationships. A lot of white men are gravitating towards black women because, that may be a part of the plan. You see that happening on wholesale numbers. So it's just, yeah, it's a travesty, and it's very difficult, from an analytical perspective for me to actually break it down to its last compound. But I know my sons, what I done with my sons was, I gave them a wholesome lifestyle. My son, little Kenny Ivy Jr., he's in the movie Play the Flute. He's also in the Netflix series All American. My other son, he's into music. So I kind of just stayed in their life and stayed on them, and some of my nephews, I'm able to help them out as well.